Okay, so I finished a project here the other day, and I didn't do a whole lot of. I did some filming of it, but it was a little erratic. Um, so I just thought I'd give a little bit of background on it and a sort of an intro to it. Um, I have a friend who we recently went up to an auction a few months ago, and we were actually looking at yet another shaper for me, um, which turned out to go for stupid money for some reason. But what we ended up doing was picking up a lathe for him. Uh, he picked up a 1928 South Bend 13-inch. I think it's 13 by 36, if I'm not mistaken. Um, was originally a line belt, and it's got a conversion kit on it that converts it to a motor. Neat old lathe in really pretty reasonable shape. Head bearing's a little loose, but it's just one of those deals where it's 90 plus years old and it needs a little love. But the waves look really good on it. There's no real wear on it as far as the ways go. Like I said, pretty nice shape. And I made a project on it because my lathe is down at the moment. As you saw in the intro video, it's pushed out in the middle of the room so I can do the DRO on it. And I still need to do some electrical work to get it functional. So anyway, he let me use his lathe to make a project for another friend. Made a steering wheel adapter so he's a street rod guy, and so he needed an adapter from one steering wheel to the other and wanted something pretty in aluminum. So I turned that for him. In any case, to pay back my buddy, I made him a T-nut for his lathe. Started the process on the little shaper here, and I'll cut in some video of that. The little shaper, actually, that was the first job I'd really done with it. It has one glaring problem right at the moment. Well, one glaring problem, and one I kind of sorted out while I was using it. It seems like the gibs were a little looser than I thought they were, and so I was having some real trouble maintaining squareness, and it just wasn't giving a kind of a horrible finish. Part of that was the tool. I've only had one tool for it, and it was ground weird. I ended up tightening up a bunch of the gibs on it. That cleared up a lot of the problem. I reground the tool. I don't currently have a grinder set up for grinding high-speed steel, so I used my belt sander and just basically honed it with a stone. It was functional. It was certainly better than what was on it. It was certainly not optimum in any way, shape, or form, but it worked a lot better. What I did find out, though, is the stroke adjustment on it is frozen. Fortunately, this piece was about an inch shorter than the stroke that it's set to currently. So I was able to position the area of the stroke, which you can do on shapers, so that it was just about perfect. It was like somebody set it for this. Fortunately enough for me. I then finished it up on the mill here behind me. Got to use some of the new tooling that I got at auction. Worked really nicely. I don't know what the steel is. I got it at auction as well. Just a square plate about that big, and it's like 875 thick. And I don't think it's just mild steel. I don't know what it is, but I can tell you that the blade on my cold saw did not like it, and it lost a number of teeth over it. And I'm generally very gentle with that cold saw because those blades are expensive. And I get to replace one now. But and I've got a bunch of mild steel with it, and it just goes through like butter and has never had a problem. But this stuff, it didn't like. So like I said, I don't know what it is. It gives a beautiful finish. It's like you can see this, and I'll hold this up a little closer. You can kind of see where I was using the. Let's see if I can get better. You can see where the carbide cutter went across. I don't know why I just lost focus there, but you can't really feel it. I mean, it's there. You can see it. And I trammed the mill right before I did this because it's actually this was the first real project I made on the mill too. So I trammed this in really close, and the inside of a half thou anyway, both directions, and so it was pretty accurate. But like I said, the finish is really nice. Like I said, it's really smooth, and like I said, you can run your fingernail across these, and you cannot feel these grooves, but you can see them. So that's pretty nice finish. In any case, I will quit blabbering on here and get to some of the video of me making this. Little Shaper is doing some work tonight. I'm starting on a T-block, or a T-nut for a friend of mine, and so we're trying to do some stuff with this. I ground a new tool for it, so it's and running the RAM a little faster, and it's actually cutting much nicer. And the tool's still ground pretty badly, but it's better than it was by far. Okay, so this is kind of the end of a project. Making a T-nut for a friend of mine's lathe, and we started off on the little Shaper that's right behind me here and squared up the block a little bit. Mostly just an exercise to get me more familiar with that little Shaper, which I've had for a couple of years, but just recently got running. So we then finished up the T part of the block on the mill here, which I'm also fairly unfamiliar with since it's also new to me, but it came out pretty nicely. So basically all I got left to do is drill and tap the hole for the center stud. Just like I said, this is for a tool post on his lathe, and so we're just getting set up to do that. So we can follow along if you like. All right, so first up, we've got the center drill. Got the mill light up here. It's got the, I think I mentioned this before, it's got this AC Pro drive on it, which once I get the arm for my DRO, this will get mounted up about here. But for now, it's just kind of sitting there getting chips thrown all over it. I don't imagine it's going to hurt it. It's supposed to be on a mill, so. And I had already pre-centered this, so we're kind of already set. I like the step drill. This is a kind of mystery metal. This was some part of an auction lot that I got, and it's kind of tough. I'm not really sure what it is. I'm pretty sure it's not just mild steel though, which should work well for his T-nut, but it was somewhat resistant to cutting. So let's see how it drills. It drills nicely, although I did grab a fairly sharp drill out of the my drills. Probably in your way so you can't see. This whole video thing is somewhat new to me, so if I set things in the way of your vision, please excuse me. That's through. And that little noise that you can hear the mill make when it stops, when I turn the switch off, there's actually dynamic braking on this, so it stops the spindle pretty quickly, as you can see, and that's what the little noise is. Okay. Let's put that behind me for the moment. There. Two done. And this thing's going to have to go all the way back open for the last drill, and it may have to go down further. We'll see. My brand new 17/32 step drill, which I did not have one. I had to order one of these for this. Now, gonna have to go down more. One of the things I found, this is really the first project I've done with this mill, and one of the things that I found was that all of the dials except for this one, which was really sticky, and this one over here were dead stuck. These two were, you couldn't make them move at all, and without a DRO on the machine, it's really tough to use without the dials being movable. So I actually took those apart here the other day and cleaned those up and made them functional. Let's get this back in here. Figure out where that needs to go. This drill has flatted sides on it, so should work pretty well. That's as slow as it goes without going into back gear. And everybody's happy. Yes. And if you see me keep reaching up here, it's because I'm used to running mills that have the switch up here. This is going to take some getting used to, and then of course I'm going to move it up here, so it'll be even better. All right. Okay, so now we're going to have to crank this thing back up so I can countersink it. Quill don't go down that far. Okay. Oh, come on. All right, that's got that all done. We'll go acquire the correct tap and be right back. Okay, we're back. We have the tap. Now I'm going to try something I haven't even tried on this mill yet, which is putting it in back gear. Come on. I've had it in the gear. There we go. Okay. It's working correctly. It is switched. And you'll notice, so when I put the lever on for reverse, the box knows that I've done it. There's a reed switch up here. And so, or I should say a magnetic switch, it's not really a reed switch. So when I do that, it knows that it's in back gear, and it knows to reverse the spindle. So you still turn it on and forward, unlike when they have the controls up here. Nope. Yeah, it'll be probably help if I tighten this. We'll see how well this works. Nope. Had a feeling that was going to be the case. I've got it started though, so I'll just get it out of the way and do it by hand. And the bad part is, unlike Adam, I don't have about 400 different tap wrenches, and I don't have one big enough to do this. So we're just going to have to use a wrench on it. So we'll have something here that you may never have seen before. A vice crescent. That's right. When you get it close to being tight, which is where, of course, these things always round off bolts, you lock it down and it gets tight. These things are awesome. They saved my butt once, a long time ago. I bought 2 of them, and they're super handy. And they're pretty precision. I've been really surprised by this. I really do need to get a bigger tap handle. This is kind of silly. Yeah, this stuff seemed to drill pretty nicely, but it doesn't tap very well. It didn't want to mill very happily, so I'm not really sure what's up with that. Because this is a good quality. This is not a Chinese mill, or sorry, tap. It's a good quality tap, and it's in good condition. So we'll get out Tap Magic Heavy and see whether that helps. Stuff is like honey. It's just gooey. I really don't like tapping this way. I really don't like all the force on one side. It's the fastest way I can think of to break a tap. But you got to do what you got to do when you don't have the thing you need. Let's see whether we're coming through. Okay, I think we've got enough threads in here. I am actually going to pull this out and try a different tap. I grabbed the starter tap, and it's probably, this set wasn't new when I got it. I got it at where else? On auction. But it's a really good quality, you know, three taps of every size type set. American made and older. This is probably 30 or 40 years old. But odds are the starter tap's the one that's gotten used the most. So we'll get one of the other ones and see whether it's a little sharper. So I grabbed the plug tap and the bottom tap just in case. Where'd my magic goo go? As you can see, I'm really not kidding when I say this stuff's like honey. It's just the craziest consistency. Actually, let's open that up a little bit. Just spin that in. Yeah, I think this one's a bit sharper. It seems to be having an easier time of things. Yeah, I think it's going through now because it suddenly got easier and the tap didn't break, so yeah, always a good sign. Yep, all good. It doesn't look like I countersunk that quite as much as I would like. So we're going to throw the countersink back in and do a little more. Plus we still have to do the other side anyway. Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to let that go. It's not horrible. It's not like it's going to have stuff screwed in and out of it all the time. It's going to get the bolt for the tool post screwed into it once, and then it's going to stay that way. So. Let's give you a closer look. Pretty reasonable. Yeah. Now we can just get this in there fairly close. Get this so it'll still move. Stick that back in there. That will do. Let's see what that does. I haven't used this stuff very much, so. Oh yes, that tighten the countersink into the chuck would probably help. Or tighten it more at least. That'll do. Yeah, that'll work. Now we just need to clean this up and deliver it to my buddy. So, other than some cleanup, I've already deburred all the edges of this prior to drilling the hole and so forth. So, that's all done. And basically, it's just clean up and deliver. And my buddy gets a new T-nut for his lathe for the price of the drill bit. Perfect.